So now that we got a lot of our Kaminski Archery dampened barebow weights and precision tiller bolts out on the market, we've had a lot of questions on basic maintenance, how to take care of these things, how to make them look a little more black when they're starting to turn gray. And using some light oil is a great way to bring back that dark, deep finish and to protect your Kaminski Archery products for a lifetime. So like I said there in the intro, we've had a fair amount of questions in regards to how to take care of our Kaminski Archery products, like the dampened barebow weights or the precision tiller bolts. Before I get into explaining how to take care of the products if you have the blackened versions, is to first talk about the actual base metal. This is the actual base metal as finished, as machined, that is relatively heavily used. And so there's some marks on it here or there. And the actual metal is 303 stainless steel. It's also known as machining stainless. So it is truly stainless steel, and it will not rust, at least not with normal use of the actual products that we have. If you were to, say, do a salt torture test and put them in a salt chamber, they may rust over time eventually, but it's basically not going to rust. It's not going to turn brown and rust in the traditional sense. But when we actually start to coat the products, they can potentially change the property of the base metal a little bit, especially with the old coating that we were using in the United States. This is salt bath nitride coating, which uses ferritic nitrocarburizing, if I remember correctly, to actually blacken the product itself. And so what that does is it actually removes a little bit of the resistance to rusting in the actual process itself. And the way that you prevent it from rusting is to hit it with some light oil. I've got WD-40 here. You can also use gun oil or something like that, something that you would traditionally use on firearms, because both are salt bath nitriding that we did use in the United States previously, but now we've switched over 100% to this product here. It's much better for the environment, and it's much safer to use this version here, and that's why we're swapping to that for all of our products moving forward. Both of these products are used commonly in the firearm industry to actually blacken metals, to use them on gun slides and things like that. And just like firearms, you need to maintain them a little bit with some light oil. Obviously, gun oil may be a little bit better, but a lot of people have WD-40 on hand, and this stuff works great. And it's actually what we use in-house here in the USA to blacken our products before we send them to you, to actually make them a little bit deeper. And so what I want to show you here is if you take a microfiber cloth and you spray a little bit of WD-40 on it, and then you rub it onto the surface of the actual product, you'll see that it turns darker. And I don't know if you can see this, but just from that little bit of overspray, you'll see some dots on this that was not there before, because this is an unoiled product. And once you start to lubricate them and hit them with some oil, they start to really darken up. And I bet you there's a fingerprint on the other side now from my ring finger pushing on it. And there is indeed, because I touched this rag, which has a little bit of oil residue on it. And so you'll see it's quite gray to begin with at this point, but as soon as I hit it with a little bit of light oil, it immediately turns much, much darker, and it will continue to soak in and fill the micro pores in the actual product. And so what we do before we send them to you is we oil each and every product before we send it over, so that way it has a nice look to it and it will last a good long time. This dampened barebow weight is brand new and has only been oiled once after it was assembled and lasered here in-house. And you can see that it's a little light on the surface here because it was sitting down on a cloth, which was absorbing a little bit of the oil, and it's not fully yet saturated, relatively speaking, in all the micro pores of the steel itself. So if I just hit it with that little bit of oil, you can see it immediately turns darker. Hit that front, it's going to immediately turn darker. And so this is something that I would highly recommend, especially after maybe getting these wet in a rainstorm or something like that, is to wipe these things down with some light oil, and then you can set them aside. You don't even necessarily have to take it out of your bow, but hitting it with some light oil from time to time to kind of bring back that luster, to bring back that dark, deep coating, is really going to make these things last forever, and they're not going to rust one bit, no matter what kind of conditions you're using them in. And over time, as they sit there, you'll see more and more of that oil is going to get soaked in, and the actual finish becomes a little bit more even as it is just sucking up that oil into the pores. Something that also can be done just like you do in firearms is you can use a Scotch-Brite pad or some steel wool or something of that nature with some oil at the same time. And if you do find a little bit of surface contamination, whether that be rust or dirt or whatever it is, grime, you can remove it with the Scotch-Brite, with the steel wool, and then hit it again with some light oil. But I just wanted to show you how hard this coating is and how resistant it is to scratching. I've got a cheap Olfa knife here, and if I put it out and I go to try to actually scratch the surface, you're going to see a little bit of marking there, a little bit of discoloration there on the corner itself, but it's not removing the coating itself. And once I hit it with a little bit of oil in that same spot where I tried to scratch it, it's going to completely disappear, and you're not going to see any sort of discoloration or surface, you know, irregularities or anything like that. So it's really almost exactly like a firearm, where you can oil it from time to time, bring back the original look, get a nice darker, deeper black finish out of it. Just like, see how this one is kind of a little grayed. It's just because it's been in my bow and I've shot it a million times and it's been sitting on the shelf collecting dust, because shooting it a million times is a lie. Let's be honest, I haven't shot all that much, but just hitting it with a little bit of oil on a rag and this thing looks just as good as new, nice and black again. And that's how you take care of your Kaminski Archery dampened barebow weights, your precision tiller bolts, or any of the products that we may release in the future that are nitride coated. Because it is stainless steel, it's going to really prevent the steel from rusting. However, things do happen. Conditions sometimes are extreme depending on where you're actually using your product, and just hitting it with a little bit of light oil from time to time, like WD-40 or a gun oil, is going to bring back that deep finish, and it's going to prevent them from having any sort of contamination or any sort of corrosion in the future for the life of the product, which is indefinite. And if you do have the stainless versions, hitting them with a little bit of oil from time to time as well makes the letters much, much darker and brings back the black, as well as cleans off any contaminants on the surface and brings back that shine. So hopefully this answers some questions, because like I said, we've gotten a fair amount of them through our website about, hey, how do I bring back the shine? I'm having a little bit of issues here or there, and I'm not quite sure how to take care of these products, because there's really not a guide out there on how to maintain these things. And so I wanted to make a standalone video and show you guys how to do it, how simple it is. Also, I wanted to show you that it's very resistant to scratching. So if you need to clean off some really nasty grime, or if there is a little bit of actual corrosion, it'll come right off, and then you can just hit it again with some oil and it'll prevent that in the future.